Hello, it's AlinaGG. Welcome to Inspire Me with AlinaGG. And I have a beautiful guest today, Samantha J, author of Illuminator and so many other things. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for this.
Same. I can just feel the excited vibes. And there's just so many fantastic things we can speak about today and delve into deeper. And I know it's going to benefit everyone who listens to this. So that feels great. So with a little introduction, let's just let our listeners know, if they've never heard of you before, which I'm sure most of them probably have. Who are you?
Yeah, it's such a big question. Well, I think I'm a bit of a walking, living paradox. I'm a business strategist, a 6 times best-selling author, soulful speaker, medicine woman, and I'm here to help coaches to build purposeful empires where they're fulfilled in all areas of their life.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. And I read your book Illuminator, and that talks about combining profitability with purpose and a new paradigm shift and also humanitarian entrepreneurship. Why don't we just jump straight into that? What is humanitarian entrepreneurship?
Yeah, the first half of my entrepreneur career, I was really driven from trying to, I think, prove something about becoming a successful woman in the world. And when I became a multi-8-figure award-winning entrepreneur, I couldn't help but feeling like there was something empty and missing inside of me. And it's because I was looking for that fulfillment outside of me in the external world rather than inside of me. So when I then left that part of my journey. And I went and traveled to over 20 different countries, learning from the leading authorities in neuroscience, shamanism, sacred sexuality. I began to understand what true wholeness was. And I began to feel that hole that existed where that emptiness was inside of me, where I was seeking love, approval, all of that validation outside of me. I began to give that to myself and to really discover who I really am with my masculine and feminine energies. And so in that journey, when I was no longer living in accordance with society's standards, I really started to connect with God and source and spirit within me. And when I found my own sense of wholeness, I started to ask, what is the most purposeful, fulfilling way that I can live every single day I'm on this planet when I'm connected to that? And that's when I started to find this voice inside of me, and I started to have the courage to live really, truly true to who I am, what brings me meaning. And I overcome sexual abuse and mental health challenges. And when I overcome that myself, I realized, well, because I've liberated myself from that, I now want to help liberate others from it. So now I've created this purposeful empire, which is all about the humanitarian calling that I liberated myself from. And I have a vision to help 100 million businesses so I can help 100 million little girls caught in child sex trafficking. And that's really what humanitarian entrepreneurship is all about. It's like God puts us on this planet to go through all these different wounds. And when we turn them wounds into sources of wisdom and compassion and power, then we are liberated, and we get to be a spokesperson to then liberate others from that same suffering and, live a life of meaning and purpose along the way.
Well, thank you. That is a beautiful definition and so full. And I can feel your giving spirit. And, what you put out in the world comes back to you. So no wonder you're so successful and abundant. You're putting that out there every moment. So you deserve every bit of your success. And you are inspiring me. So that inspiration, that breathing in God and life force energy, that's what can create change in the world, right?
Mm. For sure. Yeah, I love that. And I think that, when we live our life in service and we have enough of, I call it I, we, or. So a lot of purposeful entrepreneurs, coaches, like we get it wrong where we just think, oh, I've got to be in service to others only. And we don't think about, but is my business model profitable? Do I have high ticket and luxury offers? Am I actually, well looked after? And so there's a lot of people out there that think about the all and where can I make a difference? But if they don't have enough I and are not looking at profitability, then they're not going to make much of a difference. So we have to be enough, we have to have enough selfishness and enough absorption to be able to create a brand, to create high ticket and luxury offers, to be profitable. And that's where the purpose and profit come together.
Great, great. Because you can't give from an empty cup, right?
No.
101 fundamentals.
Yeah.
So Okay, so let's just talk about that high ticket offer. So what if somebody doesn't have one and they want one, other than, working with you and reading your book, and those are great steps to actually make it happen. What else can they do? What's some basic little steps that they could go, okay, I'm going to create a high ticket offer. What next?
Most of the time, what gets in the road of a high ticket offer is imposter syndrome. We know we're here for this purpose and we have that voice. And then there's this insignificant voice, which is like, who are you to be that? Who are you to do that? No one's going to pay you that. No one in your audience will buy it. And so in order to overcome imposter syndrome, we have to think 5 to 10 years ahead. So the best place to start is think about your life vision. Look at all areas of your life: money, family, love, health, purpose, all of it. Start to journal and create a 5 to 10 massive life vision that includes all areas of your life and make it about something way larger than yourself. Once you've got that type of vision, then you want to think about, okay, like this high ticket offer is going to be the pathway to making all of that manifest. And then you've got more motivation to actually then do step 2, which is face your imposter syndrome. Now, to be honest, I have created so much success and I still had imposter syndrome, and I felt really scared to create a personal brand. And the reason for that is because I was told, don't talk about yourself too much. When you make things about you, you're attention seeking, you're blah, 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 you're selfish. And so I learned to not actually embody my success along the journey. When somebody gave me a compliment, I was always searching for, like, I need more proof that I'm good. I need more validation. But the truth is that the only person that actually defines our worth is us. With a high ticket offer, it's not about, will people pay me 15, 25? It's how do I create an offer and how do I choose the transformation that's worth 15, 25? And so rather than seeing this about other people, instead get really close to God and be like, God, what is the $15,000 transformation I'm here to create? What's the $25,000 one? And it's such a more empowering way to look at it.
Wow, thank you. That question is gold. And what transformations do you facilitate, Samantha, for your clients?
So we're just launching a brand new Humanitarian B School. So it's all about discovering over 12 months, who are you? Why are you here? And then I help you to create your high ticket offer so that you've got monthly recurring revenue between 6 to 7 figures. Outside of that, then I also work with Illuminator Society. Illuminator Society is where I share my full breadth of teachings over 1 to 3 years. And I think that an illuminator is really like you going inside yourself. I help you to heal those key wounds and turn it into, the illuminator, the wisdom, the power of your luxury message so that you can build that purposeful 7 to 8 figure empire and also become fulfilled in relationships and every single area of your life along the way.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that you speak about success in that inclusive manner, because life isn't separate. Everything's connected. If one area of our life feels unbalanced and we're unhappy about it, we're not going to show up in that vibrant, happy way, because there's that part of us is like feeling really, So if we can bring that into all of our life, that illumination spirit, that sounds like a great plan. Yeah. And I noticed in your book, so you defined an illuminator as, let me see here, I just really like the definition. So you said an entrepreneur who is led by spirit to solve meaningful problems that exist in the world and desires to use their leadership and entrepreneurial spirit to be what creates that change in the world. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, that's great. That's just win-win-win. And then in your book as well, you were speaking about triple bottom line. Can you talk into that a bit more?
Yeah. So, win-win-win is really about, I believe that entrepreneurship is not about the destination. It's not about the result. It's about who we become along the journey. That's ultimately the sense of fulfillment. So when we're thinking about triple bottom line, we're thinking about, well, if I put my life in service to become my best self, what impact can this have on my clients? What impact can it have on the planet and Mother Earth at large? So it's about people, planet, and ourselves. And when we can align with that, and the understanding of this for me comes through the shamanic way. We are all connected, and it's ultimately like, are your eyes open? Are your ears open? Because money, service, everything wants to flow through all of us, but not all of us are actually open, right? We're not open to that inner guidance. And so a lot of people go, well, I want to make this difference in the world, but I don't have the money. But when you start to understand the shamanic way, and you know, when I trained at the world's most renowned energy medicine school with Dr. Alberto Villoldo in Germany, and learned the shamanic teachings, it's like the idea is that it's all just about being in right relationship with one another, with Mother Earth, with money. And so what I like to do is I negotiate actual contracts. I've got money sitting on my boardroom. I've got Mother Earth sitting on my boardroom table, right? I've got the movement of the children that are here sitting on that table. I've got I've got all these different you know, people or energies that sit on my boardroom table, and I see me as an instrument or higher consciousness to simply move through me, call me here, call me there, to do good in the world. And so what I've come to find is that so many times throughout this journey, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to make the money to invest in that mentor. I don't know how I'm going to make that to happen. And instead, what I did is I journaled and I spoke to money, and I'm like, money, why are we going to partner? Like, if there's going to be millions and millions of dollars that are going to flow through me, why are we going to partner? What are we going to do with that? And then Mother Earth would speak through me and be like, well, there's climate change, there's this. And I'm like, see, I'm open to higher consciousness. I understand that the spirit that flows through me, flows through animals, it flows through nature, it flows through you and me. And so I'm always trying to participate in creation. And I recognize that when I do my part here, that somehow money's supporting me, somehow Mother Earth, somehow I get connected with all these random people, right? However, if we see ourselves as separate, then it's like we cannot, like, we're not open to all the different synchronicities of life being able to flow through us. However, if we can just say, you know what, spirit's calling me here, right? Like, for some random reason, I've come across this person and I just feel like there's a connection and I know I need to make that work. I have felt that, and the investment was so out of reach. And I just did what I'm talking about here and journaled. And I said, God, like, what is this really about? You know, why am I being called here next? And then I would receive guidance on why that was important. And all I had to choose was to do my part. And to do my part was to sacrifice my fears, sacrifice my limiting beliefs, show up and recognize that the person I am here today is enough and I have what it takes. Then I would step out of my comfort zone, because I had to be the one to step first, believing that it would all work out. And when I did that, spirit, money, circumstances all met me there. It met me halfway. And I only ever knew the next step. And, you know, this was a journey that began over a decade ago, and I'd never trusted my heart before that. At that point, I was living this successful external life. I had the investment properties, all the things. However, it was unfulfilling for me then. So I sold everything, trusted my heart for the first time ever. I was so nervous. I was anxious. I didn't think it was going to work out. And I thought everybody would think I'm crazy. But I did it. I moved to South Africa at that point. When I got to South Africa, then all these people started connecting with me. Clients started coming in, and I was like, oh my God, this trust in your heart thing really works. And then ever since, I've done it. So I'm here today, and I've been doing that for 10 years. And now, you know, what I say to my clients is, I'm like, just say, let's fucking go. Just say, fuck it. You've got to really learn how to connect with that future vision. And then you've got to embody who you are there. And you've got to move today as if that is 100% certain. You can't have, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. You've just got to fully become it.
Oh, great. Thank you. Wow. There's just so much there. And you also mentioned in your book, and I think it ties in with what you just said, that we're all beautifully flawed. Is that a key to get over imposter syndrome? To go, actually, you know what? I'm not perfect, but I'm going to embrace all aspects of myself and accept them. And I know I'm coming from love. And if there's haters out there, then they can choose to work on themselves or not, really. And I was going to ask you, how do you deal with that? Have you?
Yeah, well, we are, right? We are imperfect. We're never going to be perfect. And our imperfections and our vulnerabilities is the greatest superpower that we have to unite us with everybody around us, because nobody is perfect out there. So if we see that it's actually a way to more deeply connect with our audience, to actually have more success by being more vulnerable and authentic, we've got to come to terms with 99% of people won't be like that.
Okay.
Like, they're not going to be like that. So stop looking for somebody else out there to do your brand in the way that you're being guided to do your brand, right? It's like often we're comparing ourselves and being like, I'm not leveling up to how they do it. I'm not leveling up to how they do it. And then that's where the imperfections and the flaw and the comparison comes from. But it's like, fuck it, I'm Alina. Like, I loved how you started this podcast. You're like, I'm AlinaGG. And I was like, that is amazing. Like, it's like you bring the AlinaGG sass to it, you know, and the pizzazz, and it's like, just be you. But we often feel imperfect, insecure because we're comparing ourselves, when we just recognize, actually, this is the unique package of who I am. And it is perfect. And there's no more work to do on that. It's like, this is who I am. Like, for me, I'm like, I sing, I dance, I do business, I'm up, down, I move quickly. I'm always changing, and I can't change that because I was born to be this way. I was born to be how I am. And what I've had to do is like, your opinion of me is none of my business now. A key mantra. Your opinion of me, none of my business. If I trigger you, your responses to me, I'm not responsible for you. Right. And I have had such a huge trauma around people pleasing. I've had such a big trauma around my sacred sexuality and women being jealous, envious, judging. I've had so much, but it was like, I had to get to this point where I was like, it costs me too much to care in the way, to be responsible. And I'm like, I'm not anymore, because I get so much, I radiate love, joy, fulfillment now, because I'm like, I can't put energy there, because and what helps me, I can't disappoint these children that I want to support. I can't disappoint that. Like, yeah.
I was just thinking of that. It comes back to your why, and you're behind this cause to eradicate child sex trafficking, and I fully support you in that. And it's like, I was tuning into that before this talk, and I'm like, it should not be a thing. It needs to be 100% eradicated, 100% unacceptable in any form. So how do you give through your work? Is it every sale a donation goes towards that cause, or how do you structure that in your business?
Yeah, so for each person who registers for an event, for different interactions, whether it's joining different programs, we donate different money through a partnership that just automatically does it for us. So I used to think, oh, I need to create a non-for-profit, but there was so much admin and craziness. So it takes 1 hour to set it up. We help people to set it up, and then you just choose which of the business activities you want to link to it, and bam, when them business activities happen month by month, it just automatically donates over there.
Oh, wow. And so do you help other businesses set things up like that? Is that a separate service, or is that part of a package?
That's part of Humanitarian B School or Illuminator. We teach you that. And that's in the first 30 days. We're really wanting you to get connected, not to the small U vision, the big U vision. The vision, one of the things is like, when I say to people, oh, I'm going to help 100 million businesses, sometimes they're like, what? You can't do that. But I'll share where this comes from. When I was 20, the vision I had for my life was like, I don't know, going to have a family in Little Wagga Wagga, New South Wales. I'm going to, maybe create this property development. Between 20 to 30, I outgrew that vision by 5 times. And so what that taught me is, holy shit, we each have this ability that the highest vision we hold for our life, there's a bigger one. And then we find a new one, and then there's a bigger one. So the highest vision God's shown me right now is 100 million businesses, but I know there's probably a bigger one. And that, what the last decade showed me is I'll probably outgrow it 3, 5, 10 times. Who knows? The only way we outgrow it, though, is if we've got the right mentorship, we follow spirit every single day, and we've got a community that holds us accountable to it. And if we do have that, this is how we make it happen.
Fantastic. That is so next level, and so epic, and I love that. I love the big vision, and that's really what creates change in the world. You've got to have a vision. Anyone who ever changed anything has some kind of vision that drives them forward, 100%. Because then you get over yourself. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not about, like you said, the small I or perceived challenges or imperfections or whatever. We just get, expand from that. And I feel like there's a shift. There is a paradigm shift happening, and it is into that type of mindset. And in your book, you did a lot of research around the spending habits of millennials, and there's lots of facts and figures about the dollars, and that's why it's very interesting. Like, corporates need to change and adapt, or they'll just be missing out on a whole big piece of the pie.
Yeah, they really, really will. And what's awesome is that as a millennial, like we're a bit self-absorbed. Like we've got the influencer movement. We're like, we don't want to buy houses. We want to have experiences. We want to become our best self. So we are literally like, whilst the articles out there were like, why are they spending their $20 on Smash Davo? And there's all this, misunderstanding and all this stuff. The truth is that we're driven from a place where, the coaching industry, I can't remember, $400 billion industry, the coaching industry. So we are here to be disruptors, paradigm shifters. And when we anchor it into like purpose and spirituality, then we can use our money and our influence, not for vanity, but for impact. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Wow. Well said. Yeah, that's cool. Absolutely. And just on that, like Smash Davo and acai bowl or whatever, when I feed myself great nutrition, I feel good and my vibration is uplifted and high, and it's going to have a positive ripple effect on those around me. And I believe that self-knowledge and that self-awareness and doing the work on yourself is like one of the best gifts you can give to the world. And it starts there, right? That's the beginning point. And then it can expand from there. But I think with all of these reflection questions you had in the book as well, like it's good to get clear on that. Who am I? What am I here to do? All those questions. And with your own journey, did you find that was the case? It sort of started with overcoming some personal challenges and then asking bigger questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of insecurity that came up on my journey. And when these triggers and insecurities came up, I was like, oh, what is this shit? Like, what is this, saying about me? And what I found is that the comparison, the insecurity, the triggers was showing me when I saw people who had what I wanted, that's all they were for me. So a big part of me actually becoming clearer on my vision is when I saw people succeeding or having this or that, and I noticed, oh, I'm feeling a bit triggered. I began to get really honest about what are those triggers. And that was the part of reclaiming my authenticity, and choosing to break the paradigms of I was living a life that actually wasn't true for me. Right. And it was like the people that were triggering me actually around me, they were the key to helping me to see, oh, I'm only jealous, or I'm only triggered, or I'm only comparing because actually there's some part of me that I wasn't aware of wants that too. And then I started to give myself permission to then, deepen that understanding of myself and create that vision. And one of the most powerful things was somebody once said to me, if you 100x your vision, if you were to create the biggest vision in all areas of your life, like what would that look like? And it was like, when they said that, I got a lot of clarity. And I just never had those thoughts. I never allowed myself to go 100x what I always thought was possible for me, and to be driven from this place, not from inadequacy, from my value system and my sense of wholeness. Because my business is built in a way where I get to be sexy, fun, and free. Because if I had to sit, if I had to sit in a corporate box, if I had to do it in a different way other than my own, I'd be so depressed.
Yeah, I know. I've been there. I know what that feels like. Absolutely. And why shouldn't we do it in our own way? We're sovereign beings. We can choose how we want to live and work and play and make love and do whatever we want to do. So we are powerful and free. And now is the time to embrace that for the highest good of all. Boom.
Boom. For a long time, I was wanting to be an author, and I saw myself, I was inspired by Gabrielle Bernstein and all these people. And I found myself going to Hay House summits. And when I was there, I was like, this is amazing. I want to be an author. And I remember spending, I think it was like 12 or more months writing a book, submitting it to Hay House, and then it got declined. And I was like, oh my God, this dream of being an author, it's not going to happen. And then I remembered, I was like, there was this time where I thought I would have written books by then, and I hadn't, and it had been many years. And I just realized, like, if I want to be the speaker, if I want to be the author, and I have that big vision, but if I'm not taking a little smaller action step towards that today, if I'm going to let one person say no, so then I just went and I found a publishing company, and then Spirit guided me to do 6 best-selling books in 18 months or 2 years. And I just said, fuck it. I was like, I'm no longer waiting for the perfect circumstances. And that was a huge paradigm change for me, because I didn't wait for perfect circumstances. I created it. And that was one of the biggest things that has helped me along my journey too.
Yeah. Wow. That there's so much there again. And it's like co-creation, isn't it? Because it's not all up to us. It's not all on our shoulders. Like, I have to do everything to make this happen. Like, that's just such a small three-dimensional way to think, that I need to control all the moving parts to create the business or create anything in my life, my relationship, all of it is like a living, breathing co-creation, right? And when we open up to that expansive, like pure source energy, of course, there's going to be synchronicity and miracles and support drop in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Juicy. Great. What else is front of mind for you lately?
I think one of the biggest things is like the topic of authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Like that topic of authenticity and fitting in and where we actually belong in the world. I've been connecting with a lot of mums recently. And one of the things that was always a fear for me with, I guess, living my life and my business authentically to me was that split between being a mum and then having a business. And I've been connecting with a lot of mums recently and just feeling their sense of deep grief and sadness because they feel weighed down by the responsibility of like mom and children. And I don't have that. I don't have that at the moment. And so when they're around me, they feel really energized and like they're finding themselves again. And I'm like, there's something in mums, and helping them to not sacrifice their business ambitions along the way. And I think that one thing I'm really passionate about is that you can have a multi-6, multi-7-figure business and it can only be taking a few hours of your day per day, and I really want to empower women to recognize that a high ticket and a luxury business model can help you to make that happen. You can design your life on your terms. And, if you feel like you've lost a part of yourself, like put yourself around women who you may not actually be able to share your ambitions with your partner.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like they're finding themselves in this marriage or with their children, and then they go to their partner with their ambitions. They're sharing all the big exciting things, and the partner's like, okay. And I'm like, and they're disheartened by that. And I'm like,
Mm.
if your partner, if your family, your friends are not super excited about it, then don't let that stop you. Just find a community and be around people that remind you who you are so that you can just live true to you in all areas of your life and do it your way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're onto something there. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
experienced that sort of transition myself. I remember I've got two daughters, and 11 and 7 actually. And when my eldest was 2, I felt like I had lost my identity. Honestly, I did not know who I was anymore. And that feeling was just, it was so shit, because I didn't want to just be a mum. I also I've obviously got a big vision in me, and I felt like it was kind of dying. And it does lead to like anxiety and depression, because you're not serving in the world. You're not doing what you're here to do. Yes, raising conscious children is part of it, but it's not for me. It's not the whole thing, And so, yes, you do have to kind of break away and plug in, even if you can't get out and physically be in groups with other uplifting people. There's a lot of resources right online these days to plug you in, and just, it's the mindset, and you become like the people you surround yourself with. So you've got to kind of branch out a bit. And I've always had like friends of different ages, races, whatever, like all sorts of people have been my friends throughout my life. Like, I'm very open-minded and I've traveled, and so I've got that mentality anyway. So I know that there's so much out there. But I think when you're in it and you're stuck in that mum bubble and you feel like you're always squashing your needs and putting them to the side, yeah, it wears you down. Hey, it wears you
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't experienced it myself, but I've witnessed it in the women around me. And then also, so I really feel like this is like a topic that's not being spoken enough about. And I think through COVID, it feels like, just from what I've observed and people I've spoken with, it's like mums had a massive responsibility with the world shutting down. And it just feels like there's a grief on some mum entrepreneurs out there, because it's like, well, they had to carry a quadruple load through that time as well.
Yeah, great. So I guess your offerings, your courses provide a safe space for them to plug back into their vision and their purpose. Yeah, that's great that you're really conscious of that and empathetic to that. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really the why behind also my tour, Illuminate, that's coming in Australia from October. On the 7th of October, I'll be doing Illuminate tour in Australia. And I want to get people in person. I want us to do a big group hug. Like, I want us to like actually have like in-person connection and have fun together and have the conversations and, you know, bring back a level of rawness, vulnerability, and authenticity that I really think we need to bring to the world right now.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, I'd love to be involved in that. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Well, and so how do people find you and your book and your courses then? What's the best way for them to connect with you, Samantha J?
So yeah, we'll pop the link in the bio for my book, and then we'll give you $2,000 worth of bonuses of masterclasses, my brand new video documentary series that's coming out in a few days, This Is Me, and a whole stack of other different free trainings on luxury offers and how to help you to increase your value so that, you know, from this episode you can start to implement everything as well. That's probably a great place to start.
Oh, wow. Thank you. There's so much here to unpack. I'm going to listen to it again. I feel like you were dropping like power bombs in what you were saying. I could feel like there's activations there. Like if people actually implement what you said in this call, that's a game changer in and of itself. So thank you for your generosity.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolute pleasure. See ya.